Some athletes only come around once in a lifetime.
The biggest combat sport athlete, not just of today, ever. There's no one like him.
And when you're lucky enough to experience their rise to superstardom, you won't forget it as long as you live.
If one of us go to war, we all go to war.
Whether you love him or hate him now, the truth is, you will be telling your children about that window of time when Conor McGregor was omnipresent.
Who the f*** is that guy? Who the f*** is that?
But what the hell happened? How do we go from
Conor relaxed and smiling. Oh!
to
Was not one of them I checked. Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby.
this is the notorious rise and fall of the one and only Conor McGregor.
They can only count to 5.
Conor was born in 1988, the youngest of 3, to Tony and Margaret in Crumlin, Dublin. His dad drove a taxi and his mom worked laundry. In his teens, the McGregors moved to Lucan, which on paper was a safer area. He hated leaving. His friends and gym were still in Crumlin, so he kept going back. Under Conor's parents' pressure to get a real job, he started a plumbing apprenticeship while still in school. He was miserable. He was up before dawn, had long shifts on building sites, and felt like his life was drifting away. His father, Tony, was old school and big on stability. They were close, but once Conor decided he wasn't going to have a regular job, things got tense. So much so that they got into it physically. Conor told his dad he would be a millionaire by 25 and got laughed at. It would take years for Tony to believe in him, but when he did, he became Conor's #1 promoter, telling his taxi customers to remember his son's name. After moving to Lucan around 2006, Conor linked up with Tom Egan. They started training MMA together in small local rooms and wherever they could find mats. John Kavanagh noticed them, saw raw talent, and pulled them into the then new SBG setup. Conor and Kavanagh first rolled together in 2007 when Conor was 18. The first time they met was very interesting. Conor dropped a female sparring partner with a body shot. Kavanagh saw it and claims he beat the shit out of him. Afterwards, he gave Conor an option. We can fight or we can train. Conor chose the latter. He joined SBG in 2008 and came under Kavanagh's coaching as he turned pro. But fighting and training were not the only things happening in Conor's life. 2008 was also the year he met the love of his life, Dee Devlin. This was way before the money, suits, or fame. Conor saw her at the club, went over, and they clicked. She was waitressing and he was bouncing between a trade he hated, tiny MMA paydays, and weeks on Irish welfare. Dee believed in Conor from the beginning. She drove him to training, handled all of his meal prep, packed his gear, and made sure he hit weight. She believed in him before anyone else. That's why one of Conor's goals was to make enough money so that she never had to work again. But in order to achieve that, he had a long road ahead of him. McGregor stepped into amateur MMA in February 2007 and won by first-round KO. He turned pro in 2008 and scored a second-round TKO. The next few years were uneven. Between 2008 and 2010, he had a few wins, but also tapped twice. Then he reset, and through 2011 and 2012, the Notorious went on an 8-bout win streak. In June 2012, he won the Cage Warriors featherweight title. 6 months later, he knocked out Ivan Buchinger to claim the lightweight belt.
Wow! Completely out of it!
Becoming a simultaneous 2-division champion and forcing the UFC to pay attention. Dana White immediately visited Dublin, met him, and in February 2013, McGregor signed a multi-fight deal. Before the UFC, Conor wasn't making any real money. When the first fight came, he cashed an unemployment check on the way to the airport, then earned his first proper payday that weekend. April 2013, Stockholm. Conor's UFC debut was against Marcus Brimage. Brimage rushed, and Conor slid and detonated him with a left hand. It was over in a minute, and Conor won knockout of the night. His second fight was in August. Conor outpointed Max Holloway but tore his ACL during the fight. He underwent surgery and was out for 10 months. He studied, rehabbed, and planned an epic return. July 2014, Dublin. He fought Diego Brandão. McGregor was drawing major crowds at press conferences to the point that the UFC had to hold an event in a 3,000-seat venue in Dublin that was still overflowed. The homecoming turned into a pressure cooker, and he finished Diego in one round.
This could be an early stoppage. McGregor comes out for McGregor. This could be it.
McGregor won a performance bonus and a new deal.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
Conor was as dangerous with a microphone in his hands as he was when the bell rang. It was a star-making moment. Everyone saw that special mix of charisma and highlight reel knockouts. Irish fans treated him as a national hero. The media covered every fight watch party and his visits home. Then it was September 2014, UFC 178. McGregor vs. Poirier won. A heated build-up. Inside the cage, the story was simple. He got a clean read on Poirier and caught him behind the ear less than 2 minutes in.
Conversation, looking to finish the fight. It is all over.
Conor was now a serious contender. January 2015, Dennis Siver. A control clinic ends in a second-round TKO. The title push hits a new gear. For context, throughout his UFC tenure, Conor earned 9 post-fight bonuses. The man was a striking specialist with exceptional sharp boxing and knockout power. He fought from a wide southpaw stance, using distance control and timing to land counterstrikes. His precision was freakish. During his early fights, he was throwing spinning back kicks to the body, hook kicks to the head, and everything in between. This was when he fought in a karate-like stance, constantly moving in and out. Everyone knew Conor was dangerous, but was he championship material? July 2015, Vegas. The champion Jose Aldo is out due to a rib injury. Chad Mendes steps in to fight Conor for the interim belt. It's a wrestler versus striker matchup, one many thought would derail Conor's hype train. McGregor had Sinead O'Connor sing him into the cage during his entrance. You were witnessing magic unfold. Chad landed takedowns and elbows, but eventually got tired. McGregor stood with him, feinted, picked his shots, and stopped him at the end of round 2. He was now the UFC's interim featherweight champion. Globally, he was being compared to Muhammad Ali for his brash talk and impact. But being the interim champion was not the be-all end-all. To become the featherweight king, he had to beat Jose Aldo, the man holding the undisputed belt who hadn't lost in a decade. December 2015, Vegas. Aldo finally makes the walk. He steps forward with a right, McGregor shifts offline and drops a left cross into the lane. Just like that, it was over. 13 seconds. The fastest finish in a UFC title fight. Before that punch, Aldo hadn't lost in 10 years. The belt changed hands, and the sport had a new center of gravity.
He would overextend, and I knew I'd catch him, so Mystic Mac strikes again.
This wasn't luck. Conor read opponents well and baited them into lunging in, then countered. He has a wide stance that lures strikes, only to pull back and counterpunch. That's inside the cage, but Conor's mental warfare got under Aldo's skin during the build-up. He repeatedly snatched Aldo's belt in press conferences. On the world tour, he mocked Aldo's status as champion, treating him like a side character.
This was a different time. I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to walk.
He constantly framed Aldo as scared and mentally weak. This made Conor's opponents fight emotionally, exactly as he intended. The UFC had a global superstar in its hands. He talked the talk and walked the walk. But in March 2016, he was about to experience a bump on the road when he fought Stockton's own, Nate Diaz. It was a short-notice welterweight fight after a lightweight title fight fell apart. Conor started sharp, landing clean shots, but Nate absorbed the punches, read Conor's game plan, and turned the volume all the way up to 209. Conor ran out of gas. A rock to McGregor shoots, gets stuffed, gives up his back, and Nate chokes at the UFC's golden goose.
Now he's got the back.
Now. That's it. He's got the choke.
Nate Diaz.
He's out.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
If you were an MMA fan and not just a Conor fan, this wasn't a major surprise. 4 of Conor's 6 losses came by submission, and grappling was his Achilles heel. His explosiveness came at a cost. He got tired when fights lasted longer than 7 minutes. And that's what happened here. To his credit, Conor didn't hide. He said he took his shot, came up short, and learned from it, before demanding a rematch. In August, the MMA gods blessed us with a 5-round war. McGregor was more patient about how he managed his energy. He worked Nate's lead leg, mixed body kicks, circled him instead of standing still, and picked his moments. He scored knockdowns but didn't chase Nate on the ground. Nate walked him down in spots and rallied with pressure on the fence. But Conor kept striking. The judges scored a majority decision win for the Irishman.
Oh, surprise, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back!
He showed better pacing in the rematch, but Conor's output dropped in the final rounds. High output and durability can get him into trouble when he doesn't finish the fight early. But when he was given a second shot, he made adjustments and won. They were now 1-1 after one of the biggest pay-per-views of 2016. At this point, McGregor had transcended MMA press to mainstream coverage. He was a megastar. The man was accurately predicting the rounds he'd finish his world-class opponents in. It was unheard of.
No, I said I was going to put him away in the first round. I put him away in the first round.
His social media exploded.
Da-da-da-da-da. It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G.
With tens of millions across platforms, making him one of the world's most recognizable athletes. He was a breath of fresh air in MMA, bringing record revenues. November 2016, MSG, McGregor vs. Eddie Alvarez at lightweight on the UFC's first New York card after the state finally legalized the sport. The stage is massive, and Conor treated it like an exhibition. He sets angles, pulls counters, and keeps walking Alvarez onto the left hand. He piled up knockdowns, 3 of them in a single round, and finished the world champion in the second round.
This round, though. Oh, man. Until that. Oh, he's done. He's done. It is all over.
The first fighter to hold UFC titles in 2 divisions simultaneously. Clean, one-sided, and historic. Prime McGregor. Elite precision striking and a devastating left cross. One of the highest knockdown ratios in UFC history. His striking accuracy was around 50%, and he had exceptionally high output. People critiqued his wrestling, but he stuffed numerous takedowns against high-level wrestlers like Chad Mendes. His takedown defense rate is 67%. He dropped elite fighters with glancing shots due to timing and precision. From 2011 to 2016, McGregor was on a spectacular 15-fight win streak. His disclosure purse for UFC 205 was $3.5 million. A then record for the UFC, but what he said made headlines as well. He wanted ownership and shares in the company. However, later that year, Conor was stripped of the featherweight belt due to inactivity in that division. Well, that, and also because the upper brass knew what was coming. August 2017, Vegas. The rumor turned into reality. Floyd Mayweather would stand across the boxing ring against Conor McGregor in a world-stopping event. The press tour felt like a rock show. Conor wore suits that talked for him and sold the fight like only he could. The build-up took his fame to a new level. For the first time, he was regularly covered on general news networks and late-night shows. Conor appeared on Conan O'Brien and other big platforms, showing off his humor and charisma. But then fight night came and the bell finally rang. Conor started fast. He pumped a jab and sneaked an uppercut. He won a couple of early rounds on activity. Floyd did what a master does with a first-time pro. He walked him down, leaned on the guard, and let Conor blow himself up. Floyd stacked up clean shots, and the referee stepped in during the 10th. McGregor smiled, said it was an honor, and reminded everyone he took a risk most would never take. On record, it was a loss, but this was a blockbuster event. 4.3 million US pay-per-view buys, and over 5 million worldwide. Revenue well over $500 million. McGregor's guaranteed purse was $30 million, with total earnings around $100 million. The biggest paycheck of his life. It tripled his net worth. His fame spiked, his leverage grew, and the UFC had a crossover star. By the end of 2017, McGregor was the most famous MMA fighter of all time. However, cracks started to show. His absence from MMA that year and out-of-cage incidents had fans murmuring about him losing focus. April 5th, 2018, Brooklyn. A press day turns into a viral mess. McGregor and a crew stormed the loading dock at Barclays Center, and throw a metal dolly through a bus window carrying Khabib Nurmagomedov and other fighters. Glass flew and several fighters were cut from debris and pulled from the card. Conor turned himself in the next morning and walked out on bail into a wall of cameras. July 26, New York court. He pleads guilty to a single misdemeanor disorderly conduct charge. Felony counts are dropped. The deal is 5 days of community service, anger management, and paying for the bus damage. Civil suits follow from injured fighters and are later settled. He apologizes for what happened, but frames the motive as standing up for a teammate after an earlier run-in with Khabib's camp.
I just want to say I'm thankful to the DA and the judge for allowing me to move forward. I want to say to my friends, my family, my fans, thank you for the support. Thank you.
This is the moment public perception shifts. Mainstream outlets run the footage on loop, and the headlines are ugly. Most fans saw a violent hothead. Core fans call it loyalty.
There's no friends in this camp. Business has no friends.
Either way, the stain stuck. The build only got nastier. He leaned into insults about religion during pressers, pouring gasoline on a fight that was already personal. It was impossible not to look at Conor as the bad guy. But this wasn't a movie, it was real. And these two had to settle it inside the cage. October 2018, Las Vegas. Conor returns to the UFC to fight Khabib for the lightweight title. Even though the build was ugly, the fight was straightforward. Khabib took him down early and mauled him. Well, unless you ask Dominic Cruz.
He's trying to gas Khabib out because he's taking shots, but they're not the worst shots you could take. He's covered up.
Conor found some space in round 3 and landed clean. But the tide never turned. In round 4, Khabib dragged him down again and cranked his neck.
Nope, it's on the chin.
There's the tap. Still undisputed.
Conor tapped, but things only got worse. Khabib spit on him before jumping the fence after Conor's buddy, Dylan Dennis. Chaos ensued. Team members flood the cage and the floor, security swarms. A couple of Khabib's guys jump in and hit Conor from behind. With 2.4 million buys, the event sold like nothing the sport had ever seen, but it also tainted its image. The governor flew from the building, and sponsors got tense. The fallout was official. The Nevada Athletic Commission fined and suspended both. Conor got a 6-month sentence and a $50,000 fine. It was a financial monster. Conor got a $3 million purse, with his pay-per-view shares pushing his take into the tens of millions. He made around $32 million in total for the event, but his image took a real hit. He created a toxic build with personal and cultural digs, which turned a lot of people against him. Many saw that night as payback. The lesson in the cage was blunt. Against a Dagestani wrestler, his left hand wasn't enough. 2019 started out messy. In March, Conor smashed a fan's phone. He was arrested for strong-arm robbery and criminal mischief. The civil suit settles, and prosecutors later drop the case after the accuser retracts. Around the same time, the New York Times reports that an unnamed Irish sports star was under investigation for a December 2018 hotel incident. Privacy laws kept names out of the print, but everyone understood who it pointed to. Then April arrived. In a Dublin bar, he strikes Desmond Keogh after the man refuses a shot of his whiskey. The clip surfaced in August, and the backlash was immediate. He went on ESPN and apologized. In November, he pleads guilty, pays a €1,000 fine, and settles with the victim. Later in 2021, he reportedly bought the same pub and barred the man that he had hit. But before that, he finally returned to the octagon. In January 2020, he destroyed Donald Cerrone in 40 seconds with shoulder strikes, punches, and a head kick. He dedicated it to his mother and said he wanted to remain active. He was respectful, and people thought he was maturing. Then the pandemic hit, and everything froze. In Ireland, he donated €1 million in PPE, pushed for public health action, and helped move supplies.
I'm honored to run the show. Frank, I'm honored to support.
The press turned positive for a spell, but the goodwill faded when he tweeted another fake retirement and leaked private messages with Dana White. But the year wasn't over yet. In September in Corsica, a woman accused him of indecent exposure and attempted sexual assault. Police detained, question and released him without charges. He denied wrongdoing, and a few months later, prosecutors closed the case for lack of evidence. January of 2021. Maybe as the calendar year changed, so would Conor. In Abu Dhabi, Conor fights Poirier for the second time. Dustin's low kicks chew Conor's lead leg, and the hands find him later. A flurry ends it in round 2.
Oh my God!
Dustin
Knockdown for Poirier! Dustin Poirier!
It was the first and only time Conor was knocked out. He gave Poirier credit and promised to adjust. If you were paying attention, you could spot the problem. After boxing Mayweather, Conor leaned into a boxing-heavy stance. Flat feet for power and punching range made it harder to check calf kicks, and his old kicking style went missing. However, the event still pulled 1.6 million buys, and 3 months later, his business exploded. In April, he and his partners sold a majority stake in Proper Number 12 in a $600 million deal. His cut was $150 million. He was the highest paid athlete that year, earning $180 million in total. But all the money in the world couldn't fix his ego and inability to handle losses. In July, it was time for the trilogy fight versus Poirier. Conor started mean and urgent, fired his own calf kicks, and jumped on a guillotine when Dustin took him down. It didn't bite. Near the horn, he stepped back and grimaced as his tibia snapped, a doctor stoppage TKO. Rogan sat down next to him against the fence as Conor kept throwing shots at Poirier's wife.
You looking bitch, you little.
The next morning, it was time for surgery. There was no public sympathy, especially given his bitterness and disrespect after the fight. Later in Rome, an Italian DJ alleged Conor punched him at a party a few hours after his son's christening at the Vatican. In March 2022, the police stopped Conor in Dublin for alleged dangerous driving and seized his Bentley. He was charged with 6 road offenses. His court dates kept sliding. Prior infractions sit on the ledger, but as of now, there is no public resolution. Then in Spain, a woman says he assaulted her on a yacht off Ibiza during his birthday. She withdrew a civil claim, and authorities closed the case without charges after reopening it when she later came forward. He denied it. No active case by 2025, but the accusation joins the pile. There is a reason they call him the Notorious. He kept leaving and re-entering testing pools, and in February 2023, he returned to TV as a coach on The Ultimate Fighter against Michael Chandler. The season gets attention, but the ratings weren't all that. They used the show to set up the fight, but the fight didn't happen. In June, he does a mid-game skit at the NBA Finals, punches a mascot as planned, and the performer needs a quick hospital check. It's a sideshow that would have died in a day if not for what came next. That same night, a woman accused him of sexually assaulting her in a bathroom at the arena. The police took a report, and he denied it. In October, prosecutors said there wasn't enough evidence for criminal charges. In January 2025, she filed a civil suit against him and arena parties. The case is active, but there's no trial date on the books. The legal cloud gets heavier. The unnamed athlete story from 2019 became a civil case. In November 2024, a jury finds him liable for sexual assault from a 2018 hotel encounter and sets damages at 248,000 euros, with legal costs to follow. He denies wrongdoing, says that the encounter was consensual, apologizes to his fiancée for infidelity, and appeals. In July, the appeal failed. Civil standard, not criminal, but a verdict that struck and made sponsors step back. These facts sit next to the wins and change how people remember Conor and his accomplishments. They don't erase them, but they're part of the story. The fighting plan keeps slipping. The UFC targeted Chandler for UFC 303, then an injury and testing pool timing sank it. The UFC moved off USADA and launched an in-house program. Miss whereabouts stacked up last year as his calendar slid. In October, the new program announced an 18-month suspension for 3 whereabouts failures within a year, backdated to September 20th, 2024. He's eligible March 20th, 2026. As of late 2025, there's no bout signed, but his coaches said he's preparing to fight Chandler at the White House in June. At this point, Conor is more than a fighter, he's a brand. He bought the Black Forge Inn for 1.7 million euros and rebuilt it into a high-spec pub restaurant. August McGregor, his menswear line, sells suits and street pieces built on the swagger he wore on press tours. McGregor Fast packages his conditioning work as an app and programs. Endorsements stack Reebok, Monster, Beats by Dre, Burger King, DraftKings, EA Sports covers, and royalties. He also built media he controls, the Mac Life. He's well north of $200 million. Money changed his problems, but didn't erase them. He's far wealthier than any other fighter, but also carries more legal baggage than anyone. He was the poster boy for 5 of these 6 best-selling UFC events, but the posters became mirrors, and mirrors aren't gentle. They just reflect who you are. And Conor knows that regardless of how many zeros sit in your bank account, you still have to face the mirror, the same way Ronda Rousey did.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. There's in trouble. She's hurt. Holly looking to finish.
Learn all about her story by clicking the video on the screen. I'll see you there.